All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Human Resources Committee meeting for Thursday, January 18th at 4:30 PM, City Council Chambers. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Is there any declarations of conflict of interest?
No.
Hearing none. Approval of agenda. Can I have a move second? Thank you. Adoption of the minutes from the Human Resource Committee meeting on December 6, 2023.
I'll move.
Okay, and second, thank you. Any business arising from those minutes?
No.
Hearing none? Okay, so let's move on to our reports. So we have one report on the agenda this evening, and that is Report A, which is the Management Non-Union Compensation, MGMT 01-2024-25. I'm going to hand that over to our manager, Emily, and she'll walk us through that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to clarify there was an error on that agenda. The item today for discussion is the HR budget for the 2024-2025 year.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's in the
attached to your report is an outline of the HR budget for the 24-25 fiscal year. I'm going to take you through that budget item by item. Please feel free to ask questions as we go along.
Yep.
We did send out, after the agenda was sent out, a new initiative, so I'll also review that with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We normally post that budget up here.
Jen, are you able to do that?
Not usually until it's approved, really.
Okay, okay. So you all do have a copy, correct, in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. So for salaries and benefits, the total is $1,098,228. So salaries, the only adjustment to that is the addition of the HR assistant manager role, which was approved in the last fiscal budget. We've not been able to fill that due to some space challenges upstairs, but we're hopeful to get that filled shortly. And benefits is all of the pension contributions, long-term disability benefits costs for the HR team and anyone who is on long-term disability and our pensioners. The next item is office supplies. So this just encompasses some HR printing services. So our entry-level seasonal applications, new hire packages, cards for staff, posters, etc. Employee services, $43,000. This is our recognition program, so our service awards, staff barbecue, special events, employee appreciation days, holiday giveaways, etc. This amount did go up from last year as we have not had the opportunity to host our long service awards during the 2023 year. So 2024 will be a double ceremony recognizing those folks who should have received an award in 2023.
Okay.
Our payroll services and HR information system, $150,470. You will note this isn't much of a change from last year. We did anticipate that this would go down to about $49,000. We've not wrapped up the contract negotiations with the previous payroll software provider yet, so we are budgeting for that again this year.
But we're with ADP, right?
So, Councillor Bernard, I'm just going to ask the same question. So this encompasses both the two systems that we had, the one that we were migrating from to, one was Workforce or,
Yes, correct.
Work
So
plan.
we did sign that contract with WorkLinks, which we brought
WorkLink.
forward was not going to be the platform for us.
Yeah.
We did re-sign with ADP Workforce Now and went through that project upgrade.
Yeah.
We've not wrapped up that contract negotiation with the WorkLinks group as of yet. So we've not spent that money in the 2023 fiscal, so we're looking to budget for that again for 24.
So you foresee this coming down in the next fiscal?
Yes, I foresee this adjusting the next fiscal to about 49,000.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
So when does the contract, like, when do we wrap up the first one, Jen? Finalize it, I guess, and then we just,
It's sitting with legal right now. They're
Okay.
working through those negotiations for us.
so there's no time frame.
We don't have an accurate timeframe to give
Okay,
you.
so we're looking at, in the next fiscal year, as Councilor Bernard said, like, we could be only 49,000, so we're saving about 100,000.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah.
I will say, I find the new system really smooth. It works really well.
Yeah, it's a great upgrade for our staff.
It is, yeah.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bernard. Thank you, Councillor Ramsey. Back to you, Emily.
The next item is contract services, $67,891. This line encompasses arbitrations and negotiation services, events and space rental, special projects, and mediation services. Also under this line would be any harassment investigations that would be completed through the HR department.
Emily, we may look to some of the work that we're doing regarding the CAO annual evaluations and RFP or frameworks that we may implement. We may look to decide whether or not that goes there or if it's allocated somewhere else. So we may have to have that discussion to determine that, and maybe that's already been determined. I know I spoke to the CAO about it, but I'm not sure if we really landed on exactly where that might be. So, but I do know, I think it would probably be under this particular one if that's where we were looking to allocate budget for that on an annual basis. So we may have to look to addressing that.
Okay. I do feel there is another line item down, a couple
Okay.
organizational development, where I feel that may go.
Okay. And again, it could be in an entirely different place. I just wanted to make note that if we have to make that adjustment, we should do that. So I'm not sure if this is the time to decide if that's where we would do that, and then what we want to allocate that for. I think in my conversations with the CAO, it's 6 one, half dozen other. I'm not sure where, if it matters, but it may, as long as we capture it somewhere.
Okay.
But we don't know what we're into right now, because we're going to be working through that process through the HR committee to have a framework come into place
Okay.
around that. So I don't know if there's an industry kind of standard, what we might anticipate, $50,000 or something. But again, if this is our opportunity to address that and get that in, I think we need to decide here this evening to move this forward. Would that be appropriate, or
I think that's something we could take away.
you could take it away? So if it comes back into here, do we got to come back to come and approve it then here to move it forward if we decide? Okay.
If I could, I think,
Yeah,
I
Councillor
think she
Bernard.
was saying that she felt that it was in under the organizational development, they can make it work there.
I don't know if, sorry.
We
I
didn't
don't-
budget,
No.
a dollar value for it, but if it was to fall under the HR
just be
budget,
categorized
that's the
under that.
line it would
So you- so-
would fall under.
So looking at that line item, do you think that needs to be increased?
It would if
Okay.
we
We add
were
that into
to
it,
add
okay.
this.
So then that's adjustment they can make.
Yeah, that's the question I'm asking. If you can make that afterwards, if we have to determine that here as we're going through and yaying and naying on certain things here, that's all I need to know.
Okay, I
thank you.
will look to the CAO to, okay. The next line item is a new line item for the HR department this year, a recruitment line. About midway through the year, we did have finance create a new GL for us for recruitment, as we needed to do a budget transfer for the recruitment of the HR manager position and the director roles. This also would encompass a job evaluation project. So as per our job evaluation policy, every 10 years, we need to have a full job evaluation project completed for all the UPSI and management non-roles within the corporation. Additionally, we would be looking to purchase an applicant tracking module for the Workforce Now platform. So anyone who's applying for the city could apply through the website, and their application would upload to that ADP platform. So should they be successful, the information would flow right to that platform. This would also pay for posting on paid job ad platforms, registration for career fairs, as well as any swag for our new hires. So the amount under that line that we're requesting is $60,000. The next item is organizational development. This did go down from last year. Last year, we're looking for about $40,000 to go into a performance management software. With the new ADP platform, they have a performance management module that's about $8,000 that we're able to add onto our Workforce Now platform. So we're requesting $72,000, and this would go towards workshops and training sessions for city staff and leadership, as well as leadership development workshops and team building facilitation. Next line is staff development, $39,603. This would go towards in-house training materials, professional dues and memberships for the HR department. As we noted in our presentation to council earlier this month, the HR department has a number of folks who have specialized memberships or designations. The CPHR designation, registered professional recruiter, our payroll folks have designations. So their membership costs and annual registrations for conferences would come out of this line item, as well as any conference or travel costs for the department. Yes. The next line is a miscellaneous line, $5,658. Throughout the year, we have some engagement activities that may come up, Halloween, Christmas, cards for staff, etc. That is what that line is typically used for. The next line, small miscellaneous equipment. Our payroll folks, some of them require 2 or 3 monitors to have all of the data up on the screens, wireless keyboards, purchasing of an additional laptop to be able to take to presentations and career fairs. That's where that equipment would fall under. And the last item on this page is the Employee Assistance Program, $22,630, and that was no adjustment from last year.
Same as last year's system?
Yep.
Thank you.
And then I'll just bring you over quickly to the new initiative form that we had sent out afterwards.
Is that in line? Can I ask questions
Sure.
here, just for still in the budget for?
Yep.
Before we go to the new initiative?
Sure.
So I'll start out, just when I'm seeing, Emily, you're coming in at 1.5.
Yes.
What's not evident here is last year's budget, and I don't have the book here in front of me, but.
I did bring that with
In
me.
comparison to last year and aligning some of these, I'm sure some of these items were relatively close, but there's certainly some increases in probably the salaries because of different positions. Office supplies probably is very close to office supplies last year and so on. Where are we in relation to last year's approved budget, which was, I think, in the range, might have
Yep.
been a little lower, I think, though, was it not?
It was, but not much. We had, like I mentioned, budgeted last year $40,000 for a performance management software,
Yeah.
which we did not purchase, which we're now able to source through ADP at a cost of about $8,000. In relation to last year was 1.479,
Okay,
and
so we're
this
up
year
a
is
bit, yeah.
1.564.
And a little bit of that too is but last year we had, if I remember correctly, with the payroll services, we still had that large amount there last year as well. So
Correct.
that's not offsetting anything particularly there. So where's the increase? Is it spread across most of these?
It is about a 2% increase we added to each item.
Okay.
The
What
cost of,
what percent?
the cost, 2%. And then the statutory benefits would have increased, the EI rate increased, the WCB rates increase annually. So under that
So under
benefits
the
line.
benefits, the 233 likely
Yes.
went up as just standard operating
Correct.
cost of going up annually. Okay.
Salaries.
And the
Yes, and the salaries with the
going up as
increment
well. So
changes.
that would have been the bigger increment of these. But when I look at things like the organizational development for 72, staffing development 39, is that relatively in line with what we did last year?
So organizational development last year was 97,920. So it
we're
went down
coming
this
down here,
year.
but we went up in the salaries.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So yeah, I guess, just having that side, like some of the other budgets have that side by side last year versus this year. Okay, so we're up a bit. We're about 100,000, I think you said, roughly?
Yes, we would be more relatively close if it wasn't for that work links item that we need to rebudget for, as that contract's not
But as
closed
that
yet.
plays out, it could come down as well.
Yes.
Okay, so, Okay, not seeing, I mean, any major concerns there in your regard with us. Councillor Ramsey, you have a question?
And just to sort of piggyback on your questions, Chair, is just that it will drop once we get the pay thing down. So we're almost on par of what we were last year, I think, aren't we, Emily?
Pretty close.
Yeah. And if you take in benefits and salaries, and that goes up every year and everything, so it's, I think it's good.
And
Thank you.
with this new ADP platform, like I said, we're able to get to source different modules at a lower cost than we would have for that other performance management platform we were looking for. So we were able to have some cost savings there.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey. Councillor Bernard?
No, my question get answered at the same.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Emily, let's move on to your request, initiative request.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our new initiative this year we are requesting is a training and development officer for the corporation to fall under the umbrella of the HR department. The city has identified gaps in training and development consistently throughout the organization. As the municipality continues to grow, there's a need to continue to develop current staff, identify skill gaps, recommend training, build training programs and schedules, and improve upon our succession planning. It is important for the city to address the emerging need for additional staff training and development, as it is critical that we have employees with the appropriate level of skills for their positions, including supervisory staff and management. The position would receive a base salary of $78,549.06, and with pension and benefits would present a total cost of $97,190.
Thank you. My first question regarding that is just in alignment with the report, which is eluding me, the title of the report, that we did, that identified all the positions.
The
like
KPMG.
KPMG report. But that's not the name of the report, but was that identified in there? I know I know that there was positions identified in there that were critical and, for business operators. I just want to know if this one was actually identified in there as a potential position to help in the area of HR.
It was not identified at the time, but I believe CAO has pointed out on previous occasions, it was truly a snapshot in time.
In time, yeah.
Yeah.
And I respect that, and I think it was a roadmap to help us guide into the future of potential positions. But as the landscape changes and things change, I mean, obviously, retrospectively, you don't know what was there at that time. So I was just curious if it was identified at that time. Not that that should make, that it was in there that we should go forward, or vice versa. I just was curious if it was in the report, CAO. And if I look at the budget of that, would that position then, because it doesn't exist there now, would that be in the, on the, like the training side? So that would be in the staff development area of the things that were identified in here?
So we don't have it listed
organization?
on that budget. This is separate.
No, I know, but I mean, the, like, where that
It
would
would
fit
fall
in the
under-
organizational development aspect of things?
Correct.
Okay. Which we have budget for that to perform those things that we want
Correct.
under there. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
And who does that role currently fall to right now?
The staff training and development, myself, and the senior employee relations officer.
Okay, thank you, yeah. So there certainly would be, it's certainly additional role that you're taking on, the both of you, navigating around that and also trying to provide that training and opportunities for the staff. So I assume you're seeking to see if it's
Committee
something we want to
approval,
move.
support, yes.
Put forward into the budget? Yep. I mean, I think there's certainly a business case made here in front of us, and I can't dispute whether or not you would need this position or don't need this position. You're clearly taking that on yourself as the role as the manager and others, but that'll bring us up to another 100,000 on our budget, essentially. And, we may have a little savings in the other situation as that unfolds. So, I mean, I would be supportive of moving it
Yeah, I
forward.
don't think there's anything wrong with moving it ahead. I suspect at the end of the day, excuse me, First of all, I wouldn't dismiss the report where it made recommendations of what hiring we should do. We paid money for that. I realize apparently it's a shot in time. Well, every report is a shot in time. I suspect what will end up happening is finance, and once we go through the budget to see if there's any funds left, we will start looking at new initiatives. I'm assuming that finance will list all the new initiatives and
Prioritize.
probably should be asked to see if we can't list them in priority as they come to council.
Well,
But for me, I wouldn't mind seeing a whole list of all the potential asks and then have kind of a priority of what's most important. But I don't think there's anything wrong with moving these new initiatives ahead.
so that's a good point, because I do notice on the report, it does identify this is a department priority number one, and it's also a committee priority number one, like, that's what it says. It will make that determination. I guess there's only one in front of us. If there was
Yes.
10 of them, we would be debating whether or not this was number one. So to the CAO, I have to assume the other departments on their new initiatives that they're putting forward would also be prioritizing based on that. So when it comes to finance, to Councillor Bernard's point, would be looking at all the number ones and twos and threes and fours and determining, especially from a staffing perspective. Then that's when that debate will happen, and from a budgetary perspective as to the priorities of those positions.
So administration's gonna evaluate all that and come up with a balanced
Yep.
budget for you.
Yep.
with The priorities that we feel are
Yep.
the top priorities, and then council will be able to debate and
So-
figure out
Yeah.
what they wanna move with.
So Councillor Bernard, I think what you're saying is,
Council's going to probably have their say what they feel is priority too.
Sorry, what's that?
you're just not
I would think that council will also have their say. I mean, we'll ask staff to put it in priority, and then there's going to be some talking of what they feel is priority. If there's funding left over, that's why I say there probably won't be enough funding left over for all the new asks. So it'd be nice to kind of have like, okay, this is what staff feels is priority, and then council can talk about that. A few may jump around, but at the same time, based on how much funding we have, to have a good budget that we can spend on operational and new positions.
There's 39 new positions being proposed
Yeah.
that we are going to whittle down before it gets to council.
Yeah, so.
Councillor Ramsey, do you have a question?
Yeah, and just on that too, it's just, Eleanor, before you were here, and I don't think Emily was here either, probably 4 years ago and other years, we had every department prioritized. And I think that really helps council too to make the final decision. Like number one is the top of the list that we have to go ahead with, and then it sort of filters down. Like some might have to wait till the following year, right? And things like that. So like if all departments can do that, it makes it much easier for everybody in the room to say, okay, we're willing to go 100,000 on this, but this one's gonna have to wait for one more year, things, or 6 months or whatever it is. That's just my point.
So I think what makes our job a little easier here this evening is we only have one initiative for this one department. So I think from a priority perspective, we're recognizing that we're support, or at least I've said that I would support the initiative to go forward to the next level of what certainly would go to the Department of Finance and obviously the council, and we'll see where things may fall as a result of prioritization and budget as a whole. But to move it to the next level, I would be supportive in moving it to the next level here. If we had 10 of them in front of us, we may be debating whether or not 10 would be going or 2 or 1. But we do have 1 in front of us, so it's kind of hard. And I think in what you're asking for as a training and development officer certainly aligns with the work that needs to get done and the gaps that we have within the department. Based on the fact that it's an additional work that you're taking on yourself. Not to say that that's not something the manager should or shouldn't do. It's just it could be a focused area, and we do have an area in the budget that does allow for that as well. So I guess to move it forward,
Just a final comment,
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I could. With a lot of these jobs that are being posted, and I know how the world is nowadays, that you can move from A to B in 2 minutes and have another job. Did you ever think, or are some of them going to be hard to fill, Emily, maybe? Or is there people out there in the wings that are willing to make the jump, I guess? That's the easy way to put it.
Through the chair to Councillor Ramsey, are you being specific to this role? Will this be hard to fill, or
Yeah, like, is there people out there doing that job for somewhere else along, or another company or another corporation that they're willing, like, do you think you're gonna get a lot of resumes, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for certain jobs, even
Feel
this one?
There'll be some internal interest,
Oh, okay.
and should there not be, there are folks out there that do this work that I'm.
Okay, this goes internally first, then, is what you're
Yes.
saying. Okay, thank you very much.
And this is be a standard position to practice in HR for a training development officer. I mean, I know myself, but, yeah. Okay, so we have Counselor Ramsley supporting, Counselor Bernard. So we'll move that forward then. So we have two, we're all in support of that, so. Okay, Emily, is there anything else on your budget report you'd like to address before we move to the next item on the agenda?
I don't believe so. Thank you.
Oh, and I accidentally just shut that down. Sorry, just one sec. Okay, Counselor? Okay, any further discussions on that, Counselors? Okay, no discussion, so I'll ask for adjournment of the meeting. So, first, second? Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everybody.